He's been determined like I haven't seen in quite some time, and we've talked about how he's overdue for a title.
Well, I mean, he's dropped to number 4 in the world for the first time in 9 years, but here's a look at the world number 1, the leader in terms of WTT wins, Wang Chuqin. What a player he is, the left-hander.
From being a youth Olympic gold medalist to moving on the way he did, he had a bye in the round of 32, and coming in cold in the round of 16, Sora Matsushima almost got the best of him, 10-9 up with a match point. The Dark Knight, Lin Gaoyuan and Dong Qiu after that in the semifinals, which could have gone to Game 7. The semifinals were incredible last night. Wang Chuqin had the more extended of the two. Zhendong with a bagel for Hugo Calderano to get his revenge. The 27-year-old with 27 titles to his name is going to be quite determined if I'd have any guesses here tonight.
He has. He's trying to water the drought. He hasn't won an event since the star contender Ljubljana. Here's his run through, getting revenge against Yi Sang-soo from Frankfurt, beating Shang Peng, the former world junior champion, 3-1. Haramoto again, and then bageling Calderano, who beat Liang Jinquin in a rematch from the Incheon final.
Now, they're playing for big prize money. The loser gets 27 grand. The winner gets 35,000 of that $800,000 prize purse and a giant trophy to go with it. The two big matches for me that made the biggest statement were the win over Yi Sang-soo and Hugo Calderano, the two players who had beaten him in their last encounters. And the fashion that he dismantled them with was just incredible. Zhendong, the fan favorite here, and it's not just in the name. 55% to 45 on the other side. Cast your votes for the future at worldtabletennis.com or on the WTT app. Lots to look forward to, though. Lots of reasons to be on the WTT app throughout the year. It's always nice to have police offering you secrets for what they think is going to happen. Security here as tight as can be. We've got fans throughout the building. I think we've all heard the stories of how many competitive players there are in China. But I can tell you that while we've got a lot of art in the crowd here, people are people everywhere in the world. You land in China and kids are hopscotching. They're playing games with each other. Parents are smiling and trying to supply for their children. People are people all around the world. But that won't make me stop from telling you how lovely and exceptional the city of Chongqing is.
First game, Zhendong to serve. Love all.
So we've got ourselves a best-of-7 men's singles final. It's Xiaopeng, Dongge, Zhendong to start it off with the serves.
1 love.
I'm interested to see how Zhendong plays here against Wang Chuqin, who we've seen be slightly more vulnerable than what he was when he won the Singapore Smash. People are taking him a bit closer. Played a lot of matches.
1-1.
Close is one thing. Being beaten is another. There's a difference. A lot of people say, hey, if you guys were playing a best-of-5, it would have already been over. It's like, yeah, but we're not. So that's that. 1 point apiece, splitting on receive, Wang Chuqin. Clever play from Wang Chuqin to play it short here. Zhendong feeling a little pressure to open up despite the opportunity to play a push moving in. It's never easy to play it short while your body weight's moving into the table so fast.
Good pressure from Wang Chuqin here. I mean, you can't give him an inch. He'll take a mile. And with that big straight arm forehand, maybe even the straightest out of all the top Chinese men, he can do some serious damage. Run it with the backhand there.
I would say the straightest of anyone right now in the game.
Let 1-3.
Players drying their hands. Wang Chuqin just at the baseline of the table. Normally you see players do that in near the net, so the table doesn't get wet, ball doesn't get moisture on it. This is so casual. Zhendong plays a shot that seems surprising. Watch this, a little bit of a seatbelt right there across the chest, and Wang Chuqin gives it back even faster.
It's the kind of shot that can actually distract an opponent, what Zhendong did. How casual it looked, but Wang, with his eye to kill.
Shaking my head in disbelief at how much power behind that Wang Chuqin backhand with barely any backswing.
Off a very spinny ball as well.
Yes. He gets him into an attempted chop block. Wang Chuqin right now well in control, but it's a constantly evolving game, this chase between these two. And what makes champions in table tennis? The ability to adapt. Both of them have it, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is just, well, a little bit of a misleading start. Regardless of who wins, I don't expect it to be this one-sided.
Nice spin there from Zhendong, getting so low, engaged with his core. Such a devastating backhand.
How much of a role do you think it plays, the recent history between these two? They're both selected to play the Olympic Games. Fan Zhendong hasn't taken a WTT title in, what, 10 months?
Yeah, since Ljubljana last year. Oh, beautiful winner there. I mean, I think it does play a huge role, Adam. I mean, the way that Wang Chuqin beat him at the finals men as well with a bagel in the final. So dismissive. But in the World Championship final, Fan Zhendong beat him.
Right, we're looking at a man who's been #1 in the world for a little bit of time now in red, but doesn't have a World Championship title despite all his WTT titles.
But I mean, they're so familiar with each other. You know, world champions together in men's doubles as well. It really is hard to tell what the difference maker is going to be between these two.
It's fun to see them on the table right now. Ma Long, we can't imagine, will be playing much longer than the Olympic Games this summer. And the next to carry Team China are these two right here. Fan Zhendong has really turned it on from 1-5 down. Normally there's the curse of the commentator. I say it, the exact opposite happens, but just after commenting on expecting a tighter match, Fan Zhendong quickly pulls out some incredible backhands using topspin coming in and wins 4 in a row. Oh, there it is. Both players had a plan, except one had a plan first, and it cost him. Wang Chuqin, you could see moving towards the bottom of the screen. That block, this was nice from the start. It got the gasp out of you and moving through. Oh, it's too pretty.
So beautiful. I mean, the receive itself with the backhand from middle was so wide. And then this one, wow.
A little surprising to me that Wang Chuqin playing that last ball, it wasn't quite the power that we'd normally see. That he would make such a confident step. Normally when you play a ball that's handcuffing, you think, my opponent can't possibly do something else. I'm going to turn the corner with great reason. But in the replay from that last one, it was a side spin, top spin shot that Fan Zhendong had time on. 6 points each, leveled here. Good combination play. Not easy to do. Wang Chuqin with the backhand over the forehand side and then deep to the backhand corner to recover.
Yeah, the flick. Here you see it. Into the crossover and then just guides the pace shot back. Good construction.
This is the type of thing we would normally tip our hat to Fan Zhendong for baiting the opponent into doing, but Wang Chuqin leaving no holes in his game there. Ooh, this one. Right, this one in terms of the timing, the ball floats a bit, but in terms of spin, just, you could actually see the label on it.
You could.
That was surprising. I expected the opposite because it hit the net. 6 of the last 8. That just goes to show you that when the ball hits the net, it's not necessarily because of underspin. It could just be because of confusion or making it difficult for the receiver to read.
Fan Zhendong is showing some really wise play here. That serve was slower in terms of its delivery speed and a little bit bouncier. Very clever. But Wang back in front again.
Back and forth they go in this tug of war. Remember, it's a best of 7. The women did not disappoint in giving us an incredible level of showing. Now, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Fan Zhendong, which isn't usually the case, but against Wang Chuqin, he's a bit more cautious to play megally aggressive, to, you know, enter that phase of engagement of power. He's got to be clever with his placement, with his touches. He's got to use his wisdom, his added years of experience.
And so far, so good. He's doing just that. Not too stubborn, not too proud. Says, I don't have to win the way I planned. It doesn't have to be glamorous. At the end, when you get a title after a quality point like this, I was going to say, whether you won the match pushing, blocking, or counter looping or hitting around the net backhands, people are just going to remember that you took the title. Highlights are exciting. No doubt about it, Koki Niwa, Chuqin know that well, but these two here, two of the top in the game, the two to represent China this summer. And actually the only two to hold down the world #1 spot over the last handful of years. But in this point here, that forehand flick, Wang Chuqin taking advantage, gets up and inside. That's not an easy ball to play with such aggression and forward motion.
Yeah, that was a handful in itself from Wang Chuqin.
9 points apiece here, only 2 to separate them to see who wins this game. That's all that's needed. That's all we're going to get. How did he do that?
What?
This was a back pocket pull. I thought he was for sure
That's a
in
matrix
boiling
move.
water. Look at this. It was straight into his belly button. He had the backhand, and he turns the whole body, plays it from under the table to the far forehand, the short side of the table for a win. That is unbelievable. Sets up a game point. You should not have to worry about what Fan Zhendong has done. He slowed down the game. He played it soft. He used the spin coming in, even with the fast backhands cross court. He wasn't taking the initiative. He was playing cleverly. When he did take the initiative, it was with incredible precision. He says, I don't want to play the speed game with you. I've got the spin. I've got the feeling. I've got 3 years on you in the game and 2 points to take game #1. A little look at where the temperature rises here. Wang Chuqin playing to the short forehand and deep into the body on occasion. On the other side of the table, Fan Zhendong playing to the shallow forehand of the left-handed Wang Chuqin. That's interesting. But remember, the touch game, he won a whole lot of points playing the touch game and going cross-court to the forehand. That bounce many times was in that dark red zone. The fan culture in China. I've heard all sorts of things about table tennis over the years. It's obviously been massively popular here. But the stadium filled, fans galore, inside and out, for their superstars here.
Second game, Wang Chuqin to serve. Love all.
Back for game 2, it's the world #1, down 0-1 against the world #4. Leaving the whole table open there, putting confidence behind that step round forehand, and it's too hot to handle.
So scary, this shot. Had a long way to move there, Wang Chuqin, but gets there, plants the feet. And it all stems from the footwork.
I like it with the plant stem pun.
Love 2.
It's funny, I mentioned world #4. It feels weird
Yeah.
to say it. It's not an accurate representation. It was like 2017 when Ma Long stood on the 3rd step for a bronze medal. It was like, is there a glitch in the matrix right now? What's happening?
But he has been the most vulnerable out of the 4.
It's for a reason. It's funny, I will see fans, a lot of avid table tennis fans saying, the true #1 or the true, he's not #4, but actually he is.
Exactly.
This is all data driven. He's been beaten more than any other, as we talked about on the bus ride in today. Had been world #1, Fan Zhendong, more than anybody in the last 5 years. And he's playing against the world #1, the man right now who's sitting in his throne. An arcing spin shot. You don't see this too often from near the table or period from Wang Chuqin.
Well, Fan Zhendong is varying the height of the toss a lot and making subtle changes with his pendulum serve. We haven't seen him play his reverse yet, and that was the serve that Ma Long used against him at the World Cup to get a lot of success, this reverse pendulum serve or the shovel serve. Oh.
It's not the first time we've seen Wang Chuqin surprise Fan Zhendong with a ball to the deep backhand. It's funny you bring up that reverse pendulum because Ma Long doing that just goes to show you he can do anything. When I think reverse pendulum, I think Zhang Jike, Fan Zhendong, Liang Jingqun. These players stand out. Ma Long very rarely. He's known for his pendulum serve.
Yeah.
A lot of effort to get around that backhand corner here, and it pays off. Wang Chuqin at the first towel break up by 2.
Knew it had to be a good one. Sacrificed a bit of space at the table, a bit of positioning, but barely ever does that forehand come back. There it is. Got behind it, Fan Zhendong, but it's such a hard forehand. It has more of a deadening effect to it.
I feel like the time when he chooses to play it has been very wise. In game number 1, Fan Zhendong was able to counter many with the backhand. Surprise here again. The obvious place to go would have been to the length of the table to the forehand. As Liu Dingshuo and Xiao Zhan watch on. Speaking of Zhang Jike, his personal coach, Xiao Zhan there. He's been all around the world, marrying Olympic gold medalist, coach in Qatar. He's had a fascinating life if you have a chance to sit down and talk with him. And his English is wonderful. Thought you'd like to know.
Yeah. Might try and catch him at some point.
Don't try to catch him by the head. He's a little slippery. So 2 points in front here, Wang Chuqin. For me, again, the surprise factor. Wang Chuqin is clever, but when you think of him, that's not the first word that comes to mind. You think undying effort. You think steel trap for a mind, cool under pressure, force, drive, power, long stroke. But he's mixing it up well here in this game. For me, even that. Yeah, he doesn't make it, but he takes a little pace off and invests in spin. It's not quite the same drive. Maybe that's part of the reason it's a little uncomfortable. It's not what he's used to playing. 1-point game now.
Well, for me, Fan Zhendong has more flair than Wang Chuqin. A bit more outside the box thinking. I feel like Wang Chuqin's more, I mean, they're both very drilled, but a bit more drilled in the way that he approaches, his shot selection, how dynamic he is, his versatility of choice.
Point well made. I think this comes with maturity and experience because Fan Zhendong for many years was just thought of as an explosive powerhouse on both sides, but only had one level. 10.
Yeah, yeah. He got better when he actually got better at slowing things down, Fan Zhendong. I made him more dynamic.
Well, this is adaptability, right? The idea that you can change things when you need to. If you only have one plan and you're stuck to it, it's tough to fall back on anything else.
There's Chiquita. More success for him with that.
With the second towel break, it's been quite a swing of events here. Fan Zhendong, take a look at this. Get ready. Heavy spin. This ball, how much spin is on it? 8,838 RPM. That's the spinniest shot we've seen yet, and the eyes on Wang Chuqin say it all. My goodness, what do I have to deal with? Nearly 9,000 RPM. Sets it up so well. Soft blocks, then the deep push, and he gets right into it. One block with the backhand, and he takes control.
He looked a little bit too comfortable there, didn't he, Fan Zhendong? I think that's how Wang Chuqin will feel.
Right. Ooh, speaking of feel. Hope his heel is okay. Rarely do we see him doing something like that. Nice forehand flick inside the table. A little bit of casual of his own there.
You see Wang Chuqin, he's often got ice on the knee, he's got the strap there. Such a physically taxing style. It'd be hard to imagine him playing into his mid-30s.
Right. It's funny, almost anyone in Team China seems impossible. Ma Long is an anomaly in that way. Just Wang Liqin. Only other one close that I can think of. At least internationally representing China.
8-7.
But how fast Wang Chuqin's come up is, it wouldn't surprise me to see him, achieve his best stuff at quite a young age relatively to other players who, had a bit more of a roller coaster of a come up.
Yeah, even in Team China, we have seen some late bloomers. Lin Gaoyuan won for sure. Liang Jingqun has really come in the last few years up in his ability. The world number 3 was eliminated by the thrill from Brazil, Hugo Calderano, for the first time in a big way. Tight serve here to the short forehand. Fan Zhendong back up by 2, was trailing for a good part of this game. Look how low to the net that ball is. It's got everything you need. Rotation, placement, 6 of the last 8 points. Fan Zhendong has won to set up this 2-point lead here. Tough as nails. Wang Chuqin down by 2.
Nice pendulum. Just a Fan Zhendong trying to float it through with the backhand. Big point here. I mean, every point's a big point, but
this one especially so. I'm with you. He stole the attack from what seemed like an impossible shot. As soon as he started to go for this attack, it looked like he could break his back. Yet, he manages to make it, and who's there with the shield on the other side? Wang Chuqin brings it right back safely to the length of the table. Big recovery needed.
He finds the crossover of Fan Zhendong, who's actually positioned at the forehand side. Brilliant from Wang Chuqin.
Oh, the power. This is the backhand that we've known for years, and in this match so far, we haven't seen a shot quite like that yet. It's one of his best weapons, but he saved it for a big moment to set up game point in game number 2. And he's got the serve. There it is, the spin comes in, just guides it back, racket out in front. Fan Zhendong with that divisive backhand. He's growing into the game quite well. The 27-year-old who no longer is world number 1 and not even in the top 3 at this point in time. He's got a lot to prove here, and so far in Chongqing, he's done just that. Ask Yi Sang-soo, ask Hugo Calderano, and right now, ask Wang Chuqin. Wait till after the match. Let's see game 3 to come. So here's a look at the world rankings as of week 22. Every Tuesday they're updated. Wang Chuqin way out in front, 3,615 points in front of Ma Long, the greatest of all time, his predecessor and his inspiration. Fan Zhendong down at 3,403, just barely above Felix Lebrun. Now, interestingly enough, in the race to Paris, Fan Zhendong is actually behind Felix Lebrun. It's a different ranking system. So when I talked to Coach Nat Molan, he said he hopes that Fan Zhendong does well here so we can move up in the rankings because they wouldn't want to have to face him early. Man, and in case you're wondering about Fan Zhendong, how he could have so few points considering how far ahead he was of everybody else, points only last a year, they expire. And he had some big results that expired quickly after being eliminated early in many events this year.
Oh, Fan Zhendong. That is absolutely immaculate from Little Fatty. Left the door open one, but still.
This reach. Take a look here, steps around. Oh, it's got a bend on its side and topspin to even reach it is good. On the move, open table winner.
Let. Last 2. Last
So athletic.
3.
Managing to get behind the incoming missiles of Wang Chuqin here.
He was chasing Xiaopang Dongge. 12 of the last 16 points. He has been in control. Oh, once again. Now this is more of a backhand that when you think of the greatest points you've ever seen from Fan Zhendong, shots like this, it's the snap. The difference between him and Wang Chuqin has the full arm stroke and the drive forward. Fan Zhendong has this incredible spin and power at the same time. Most explosive player.
It's quite often to see Wang Chuqin hit 2 backhands in a row, unless he's at the table controlling. But Fan Zhendong can stay there and play consecutive back.
% better on the service game. Fan Zhendong so far, just about. For Wang Chuqin, it's not even advantage. The only advantage is that Fan Zhendong isn't serving when he is.
1.
Funny way to have to think about it. Game number 1 started with the opposite scoreline, 5-1 for Wang Chuqin. No timeout call, each have 1. Wang Chuqin has done well in recent history against Fan Zhendong. There was a taste of his own medicine there, Fan Zhendong, and he still manages to chase down that wide forehand and hit it back aggressively. Take a look here. Gets him to step around, leans in for a quick backhand. And as fast as Wang Chuqin can turn, Fan Zhendong puts a lot of pace on it and plays it wide into that backhand.
Seven, 1.
So the head-to-head between these two, we knew was well ahead for Fan Zhendong, but in finals, 3-all, just like it was between Wang Mengyu and Sun Yingsha. But yeah, Fan Zhendong's had the better of them most recently. Winning in Macau twice, Wang Chuqin. Fan Zhendong with 1 Champions title in Xinxiang, hometown of Liu Guoliang.
Yeah, it's been a host to several now WTT events. It's been a ton of fun to be there. Hotel just across from the stadium. Short walk in if you need to.
2-8.
What are you thinking, Fraser?
Just very surprised by the scoreline here. I mean, the first two 11-9, it could have been different, but, well, Fan Zhendong looking like a man on a mission. A reminder.
For me, he has been from the start. Again, Yi Sang-soo. Oh, second time we've seen him go down to that heel now. The right heel rolling out the ankle a bit. We talked about how physical his game is. He's got a low stance, and he lunges quite far.
9.
So either going to have to take a medical timeout or he's going to be warned to play. It's basically how it goes.
Oh, the touch. The touch was clever because it looked like he was going to flip, but he changed. And then another ripping backhand. Watch this. See that? A little change there from the posture.
This is adaptability. That you can show one thing and at the last moment change to do something else, and he sneaks out the aggressive backhand to follow. He's got 8 game points for a 3-0 lead over the world number 1. And a backpedaling deep serve to the backhand side. Fan Zhendong completely dominating that game like no other against the world number 1. Wang Chuqin makes his move, looking for the Chiquita from the start. This is the rock, paper, scissors factor. Fan Zhendong knows what he thinks his opponent wants to play and brings out rock. Good old rock. Nothing beats rock. 11-2, he's rocking his way through and one game away from taking a well overdue title. Fan Zhendong, the back-to-back world champion, hydrating. But where's he playing on the table? 31% to the middle. Half longs all around, my goodness, constantly mixing it up. That's interesting. Only a few deep, and they're to the wide forehand of Wang Chuqin on the rare occasion that he does. At least according to that graphic. So there's a doctor over at Wang Chuqin's ankle right now. Sort of to be expected. I'm sure we'll see that in a bit. I mean, it was clearly affecting him. In general, this is something we see from the Chinese team. The emotion shown, you don't show frustration when you're playing. There's very little of that. Wang Chuqin learned that with a 3-month ban after tossing his racket on the table. So I say that to mean you don't fake injury or call attention to your weak points. If he's touching his ankle, it's because it's really bothering him.
Last all. Last one.
I don't know if you felt this, but recently, all it takes is just one part of your leg to not be in full form, and suddenly you can't rely on pushing off in table tennis the way you normally would. At this level, you're using everything, and you have to trust from your ankle to your heel to your quad to your hip flexors that you can push off and twist just the right way so that the body doesn't have to overcompensate. But a good second point here. Wang Chuqin leveling the playing field in the fourth.
The sweet spot on this backhand. I mean, Wang Chuqin's the one staying closer. Fan's kind of free roaming and hitting rockets from all over the shop.
His sweet spot, as you mentioned, is arguably the biggest sweet spot of any backhand in the game. He can find ways to counterattack from the most uncomfortable backhand positions. That said, well-placed quality shots can still cause trouble. Not to mention the forehand of the best in the world right now. It's a Chiquita here, though. He steps around from the forehand side to use the backhand to cause the trouble.
Gets that elbow high.
Yep.
Coming around the side. Looks like he's adjusting his service position here, Wang.
Do you think that's a factor or related to his ankle?
I think it definitely could be, Adam. It means it is less likely to have to make a compound movement after the serve.
We've seen this before. 23 of the last 32 points. Just shy of 75% for Fan Zhendong, who's one game away from taking this title with a bagel. Well, he's definitely feeling it, Wang Chuqin, but he's managing. The way he moved in that point, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a medical timeout. The only reason I feel like he wouldn't is almost out of respect for his teammate. In China, there's such team spirit. You heard it yesterday in his interview. He said, I've done my job. I've made it to the final. Fan Zhendong's in wonderful form. But I've done my job. He could not say that if he was playing someone from any other place in the world. It's team spirit.
Yeah, there certainly is a selflessness about that statement, but I mean, China want as many winners as possible. Happy to clean sweep events.
So after dominating the last game, 11-2, he's down 3-4.
5-3.
Gets a cushion here, Wang. No matter what happens in this match, he will stay as the world #1 ranked player.
That said, with all the points up for grabs, 1,000 to the champion. Neither of these players are going to walk away empty-handed, but Fan Zhendong needs to climb the ladder a bit more.
5-4.
When I think of injured players playing well, of course, Ding Ding in the 2015 women's singles final against Liu Shua in Game 7. But Sharth Kamala-Chanta versus Simone Gauzy in the same World Championships, I believe, 2015. He had to play right on top of the table, Sharth Kamal. And he managed to pull out the match anyway. It reminds me of Wang Chuqin. Ironically, he moves right back, but generally, he just doesn't look as mobile as usual.
No, he doesn't. And the fact that Fan Zhendong's been better with the placement, and the fact that Wang Chuqin's injured and is therefore going to have to try and be cleverer in that department, makes it even more unlikely that he can come back here.
That is a double whammy, no doubt about it. But we'll see if Wang Chuqin presses his luck here. He's up by 2. Oh, the combinations, Piaoliang indeed. You could hear it from the crowd. The opening shot and the follow-up. Fan Zhendong's return was pretty incredible. But a man in position leans back. Still, Fan Zhendong almost keeps the rally going.
That was so fluid. That was so seamless.
You talked about the sweet spot earlier. We've talked about it over the years. Even when he's out of position, he can manage to find a threatening backhand. 3-point lead for Wang Chuqin. This serve, it's not the first time we've seen it. A float with a change of pace deep to the backhand. But Wang Chuqin moves in for a Chiquita and has to go back the other way to retrieve. Look at all the sweat flying on them. My goodness, this is like boxing out here. In a non-contact sport, I don't think I've ever seen that much sweat fly off the head in one moment. Look at the back of the shirt, too. Fan Zhendong in a wet t-shirt contest right now. He's winning. In every sense, actually. Counter loop, they go back and forth. Wang Chuqin looking for some answers. 2 in a row. No timeout called, not yet. If not now, then when?
Audience, please. 7.
Very French call there.
I was going to say, I was like, did he say audience?
He did.
He did say audience. Bon chance.
Works in Paris.
Yeah, the Tunisian has been there for some time now.
7.
Big scratch of the big head, 3 points in a row for Fan Zhendong. Not an easy place to take an opening attack from, but he does it with quality.
Now or never for Wang Chuqin.
Good half-long touch shot right near that baseline. Wang Chuqin with a much-needed point after being up 7-4.
You could hear the adjustments, the squeak of the shoes there as he comes back in and just daintily dinks it to the question zone.
Is that a Steve Dayton reference?
No.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Steve Dayton. 7 serving 8 here. And leveling the playing field once again. Business time. It's a test of the nerves. Think about how big this summer will be for China. These are the 2 selected to represent Fan Zhendong at number 4 in the world, looking at a chance to shut out the most unbeaten in the game. Leaping forward. He's taking some chances out here. Again, I don't know the details, but he looks to me like a man playing an injured game and still playing it quite well.
Anything that can get him a little bit of extra time is going to be crucial. And that's without injury. With, even more so.
9 serving 8, little advantage here. Now the touch shot sets up 2 game points. Wang Chuqin at the 3rd towel break has a chance to extend. What are you thinking?
That's 3 amazing examples of the half-long shot used there from Wang Chuqin. You know, the touch, the serve, and then that one again.
Right. A lot of people forget a half-long serve is incredibly common, but the players are using that same concept in the push rallies as well, keeping the opponent uncomfortable at the baseline, causing hesitation. Serves with Zhendong down 8-10. And Wang Chuqin survives, sends it into another game. It's a long, hard road, but we will see. He's got one. 3-1 now. Zhendong leads. Will Wang Chuqin come back? No coaches on the benches. Time will tell, but it will be a long time from now if this match goes the way of the most winning man in WTT history. This man here, Lionheart Hope, Wang Chuqin, with his first game 11-8, back for game 5 right after this. So Timo Magic Bull, a legend, 4 times world number 1, the oldest ever world number 1, a few days before turning 37 years old, has more blades than anybody in the game. Fans lined up to meet the legend. Bo-R, they call him here in China. One of the most generous sportsmen in the game, a role model, as fair as can be, spectacular to watch, has announced his retirement from international competition following the Olympic Games in Paris this summer. This is his last international competition in a nation that he has been incredibly well respected in, China. So, already missed by fans around the world. The game is an incredible game, no doubt about it, with all the stars in the sport. But without Timo, there's going to be a giant heart-shaped hole for some time. Wang Chuqin having a visit with the doctor there for just a bit. We hope that he's back in action. No matter who wins, we'd love to get our 7 games available played down to the wire like we did in the women's match. Zhendong to start off game 5, leading 3-1 with the serves.
So much kick on the ball there. You could see Zhendong a little bit ruffled. Ended up taking the ball quite late because the ball he thought he was coming in for had that extra bit of rotation.
Little homage to Timo Magic Bull there, a man who could double up the rotation and cut the speed in half if he wanted at any point.
He was known as the man who could beat the Chinese Timo Bull. 40% win ratio against him in 111 meetings. And we even saw Wang Chuqin have a knock with him earlier on in the event just to, you know, get that experience against the Spin Master.
He had a 40% win rate?
Yeah.
Career-wise against China?
Yeah.
Don't delay the game, please, was the warning for Zhendong. Just wanted to catch that real quickly. That's higher, to my memory, than Lin Wenru, than Tomokazu Harimoto, and he's played for decades.
Crazy.
Jeez, talk about sample pool. Well, right now, Zhendong in an interesting pool of his own sweat. It's just going to get thicker and thicker. With Wang Chuqin coming back like this, he's got his 3rd point this game. He's starting to get some momentum here.
He is. I mean, you thought this was going to be a more uphill battle. Kind of counterintuitive what we're seeing here. 6 of the last 8 to Dato.
But a much-needed point here as Zhendong gets the backhand in inside the table. Very wristy game, spin variation. And you pointed this out a lot, but the variation in his game, the way Zhendong has developed, has made him so versatile on the table. And that's extra little grunt. You can hear it when he powers up for that opening shot. He's a soft-spoken man, but he carries a big stick, and the ball speaks quite loudly for itself in these rallies.
Such a big stroke coming across a body there that wasn't even placed into his crossover. That's how much he was given into that Zhendong.
It's funny, I've talked about Chun Meng and how solid she is, the quads and everything else to prevent injury. Zhendong, I can tell you as well, We bumped hips for some good reason at an event in Germany, and he is solid. Seriously massive, muscular guy. Ooh. Still in play, behind the table.
Oh.
What?
Oh. How did that last so long in the air?
It almost seemed like a ball that would have come off the finger or something and floated that high. This one shot from Wang Chuqin on the move at full extension right to the baseline. Let's see this next one, what happens here. Well, he definitely went for a lob. Racket turned around. 4 points apiece now. Fan Zhendong has leveled it out once again.
Oh, he's done so well there against an irregular pattern break from Fan Zhendong. That was twinkle toed from Wang Chuqin.
Another TT within the TT we're watching here, but for me, the movement of Wang Chuqin, we're seeing just a little bit more confidence in his step. He's found a way to not rely on putting too much pressure on that ankle or heel, whatever's bothering him. It seems unlikely he's going to step around for a forehand unless he thinks he can finish the point. Ooh, very awkward, slow, spinny ball, this one.
Fan knew he had to come in over it. It was shallow.
Yeah, by the time he hits that ball, it's loaded with spin, on its way down, and net height at best.
That'd have to be perfect to make a shot like that.
Tee-hee-hee.
Nice.
Good deep push as well.
I'm liking this from Wang Chuqin. He's been a bit smarter with the placement than what he was.
This scoreline, 7-4, remind you of anything? How about the last time it was 7-4?
You're making my memory jog, Adam.
Your memory looked like it needed a little workout for a minute. Unbelievable here, Wang Chuqin with a 4-point lead. We've had some big comebacks over the years. Wang Chuqin handing Shunsuke Togami, one of the most important comebacks China's seen in modern history. 2022 in Chengdu World Championships. Can he do the same against Fan Zhendong? It's not to save the flag, it's not to save the nation, but in some senses, the greatest sign of respect and the best thing he can do for the team is push his teammate to play the best game he possibly can if he's going to win anything. Ooh, the chase.
5-8.
You get nervous when you see someone get low like that and they're already on a little bit of an injury. Almost looked like a skimboarder in that moment, the way he put his hand down and planted nicely.
Yeah, it was like riding a wave, wasn't it?
Yeah, ride that wave. Still has the timeout if he needs it. Push inside the table, keeps it short.
6, please, audience.
Audience. S'il vous plaît.
Merci.
De rien. 8 serving 6. Wow. That's going to be a tough one to counter. The pace on this one into the middle. One thing that Fan Zhendong does is he recovers with this shot right here. After moving the upper body as fast as can be, he just doesn't have much of a choice, quite frankly. The next shot is into the backhand side. Wang Chuqin 3 points in front here.
Let 9-6.
Top of the net, and he's got 4 game points.
6-10.
Man, pack your bags. We've got a road trip ahead.
Can't hit a forehand any better than that. 4 game points to the world #1. Man, can you imagine? Can you imagine if he made this comeback?
We get the same scoreline we got for the women. Time will tell. Back backhand to open. Wang Chuqin getting the crowd up in a bunch here. It is a packed stadium from front row to the very top of the fourth balconies here. Opening backhand, chase on the forehand, and whether he's stable on his feet or not, the sweat flies again. And it's Wang Chuqin showing a bit more comfort. He talked about the ice we see him taped up in. He's going to need a lot of recovery time after this match, no matter what happens. But there's still plenty more to come. Well, there could be anyway. It's only 2 games for Wang Chuqin. There it is, 11-8, 11-6. And the men's singles final continues in Game 6 right after this. Wang Chuqin Jiao, they say. Hey, Fan Zhendong there as well. Some fans on both sides. Nice to see some representation for a man who's essentially pulled himself from social media, Fan Zhendong. Sometimes that's what we all need. That said, follow WTT on all social media to enjoy your favorite moments. There have been some amazing moments throughout the past several days. Nobody told me to say that. I just thought it'd be fun to say.
We've seen Fan Zhendong enjoying himself. Less so now, with the Olympics so close. He's a bit of a Swiftie, isn't he? We've seen him.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I forgot what that word meant until you said it. I'm going to stay away from that for now. 1 point apiece. Only because I care about him.
Now you have to think about what Fan Zhendong's thinking here. I haven't won an event since Ljubljana last year. You know, I'm down at 4 in the world for the first time in 9 years. I'm the current world champion. The Olympics is so close, and I'm playing someone who has a bit of a niggle in the ankle, who's now won 2 games in a row, trying to force a 7th.
Oh, almost saves it. Recovers the first shot, the next one. Fan Zhendong able to put it away while his opponent's close to the table.
I was surprised Wang did a little push here, but
I think he realized the ball was so low by the time that he got to it.
Yeah.
That it just would have been tough to flick and still be in position. Like to hit a winner with it, if it comes back, he's in trouble. So he bought himself a little time. That's tough. Now here's a question, a hypothetical for you. You're playing to win. It's not about bullying. If you know your opponent's got a weakness, you try to exploit it. If the weakness is that they're tired, you move them. If their weakness is movement, you move them. You've got an injured player, well, do your best to take advantage of their weakness. Not seeing much weakness out here. The speed in this rally, I know that wasn't much of a question, but as Zhou Qihao, Zhao Zihao, and Liu Heng walk back into the building, they're going to enjoy some of this action. Rallies like this, not so many can produce. Not with the frequency that these two have. Have you ever come up in that question? You're playing an injured player?
yeah, you can get too in your head about it, can't you? And you try and play them so differently that you end up missing everything.
Liu Shiwen Ding Ning, Women's Singles Final 2015. Go back and check it out after this is over.
Brought it back there, Fan Zhendong. Wang had time on it, but couldn't make it on. Again, Fan Zhendong not fully behind that one. Stretched slightly, but playing with something slower.
He's off to a good start here in the lead. He's had his fair share of trouble the last 2 games. 11-8, 11-6. Fairly one-sided games for the player who's on the chase. The world number 1, Wang Chuqin.
4-4.
infatigable from Wang here.
Whoa, that's a good one. I like it. This is the thing. The pros, you might think this is exhausting, and it is. But for them, this is why you work so hard in the practice hall, in the weight room, in training, so that when you're out here, you just never have to stop. Smart play, shortens it up. Fan Zhendong steps around, the more mobile of the two players. Takes his chance moving a little early. Man, it happens in the blink of an eye. You play a shot that good from inside the table, you think you know what's coming next. Wang Chuqin surprises with something else. Tactically taking some chances out here. Wang Chuqin investing in some shorter strokes. And a full stroke here. Sets it up well with the serve. Crowd goes wild. You said Swifty earlier. I feel like there's got to be a term for the Wang Chuqin fans. Nothing that sounds quite like Swifty, though.
I'm sure you'll think of something.
Sure.
4-6, please.
Man, how this has turned on its head, ladies and gentlemen.
And it keeps on turning. What do you mean by that?
So much backspin.
Ah,
crazy.
Like a coat of paint? Man, look at the serves here. Now the difference. 4 percentage points between them. Fan Zhendong in front. This is overall throughout the match. The man with 3 games under his belt. Nice placement on this. Wang Chuqin, what are you thinking?
Well, it was good placement, and Fan tried to rip the forehand on the step around, but let's take a look. Wasn't quite there with it. Wang 7-5 up. My word. He's moving better.
Adrenaline, it's an amazing thing. It can help a mother lift a car off a child. And just the same, it can help Wang Chuqin in a moment like this power through.
7-6.
1-point game now.
I mean, if Wang is still feeling this a bit, he's going to struggle to play the power shot. So, Fan Zhendong can continue to not give him that much to feed off. Might feel it a bit more. Wang misses another backhand there.
That's how Fan Zhendong came back in game number 1. Remember, he was down 1-5, and he slowed it down, played the touch game. That was unusual.
7-6.
The way he returned that was almost like the way you step on one half of a catapult to launch something.
Let 7-6.
Audience. Ah, good push here, quick and deep. Bit surprising there. The look, the facial story that Wang Chuqin just told was, I know. Knowing is half the battle. Half is not enough.
Lost both points on serve. Fan Zhendong now has hits 7 apiece.
Beautiful recovery. The power and the pace comes in. Now, when you think back to the toughest losses Fan Zhendong has ever had, I think back to Dusseldorf 2017 against Ma Long. And the most notable thing about that, there were articles written for months about how Fan Zhendong took the attack first more often, yet Ma Long still won, which proved a wonderful point, as did the last point. It was more data to support the same claim. And that claim is, while there's often an advantage to attacking first, you don't have to. It depends more on the quality of the attack. And Wang Chuqin is so well prepared for the attack coming in, moving Fan Zhendong well here. He's got a 2-point lead and a chance to send this to the decider. Three game points some socks and underwear. You got what you need for the trip? You all packed? Don't forget your toothbrush. 10 serving 7. From behind the table, the chase flailing as he tries to counter. It's a game point saved. Wang Chuqin with the third towel break will get the serves back if he can get through the first.
It's not over yet. Taking that one out in front. The big bomb beforehand of Wang Chuqin, put a little bit wider.
8-10.
Let me be, come on. Together, he needs us. And Wang Chuqin sends it to the decider. We get one more game in this epic clash of the Titans at this point in time. The two big uns, the ones right here who have been selected to represent in Paris, will battle, and 10,000 fans scream on as we get to dream on and watch this dream match continue. You know what to do. Grab those snacks and healthy beverages and tell your friends what they need to be watching right now. The decider, the final game, game number 7. It is 3-3 with the world number 1 and the back-to-back world champion. Here's a look at the champions of the last 8 months. Wang Chuqin here in China, but in Lanzhou took the star contender Hugo Calderano. Felix Lebrun, the silent assassin. Liang Jingquin, Wang Chuqin twice in a row in Doha. Timo Magic Bowl, Felix again. Wang Chuqin, a Singapore smash, another smash in Saudi Arabia. Hugo Calderano in Rio. Taiyuan Liang Jingquin, just like he was in Incheon. And you saw Benedict Duda up there as well. Fans all around with their banners flying high. Look at the lens on that one. It is a good time to get the best shots you can. Seen some incredible fan paraphernalia here. And here's how they do in the decider. 56% each. They are both likely to win, but it cannot be. It's a mathematical impossibility. Of course, the stat is not. But after this, it will change. One will walk away with that taller trophy that reaches the next floor up in the hotel. Tucked in, ready to go. Wang Chuqin in the same old wet shirt from start to finish. Fraser, you ready?
The last game of this champions Chongqing all comes down to this.
Long push, surprising Wang Chuqin with the new tactic out here. A little bit more spring in his step. It reminds me, he's only 27, but a 57-year-old Mike Tyson and how fast he still is when he needs to be.
1-1.
Remember, between these two, they're both young and fit. 27 years old, Wang Chuqin 3 years the senior. Wang Chuqin, as we've addressed, we have to imagine is running on adrenaline through whatever the injury specifically is that we've seen him deal with throughout this match. Dead even here. One serve broken, serves with Wang Chuqin.
Again, the long push though. Secures the point for Wang Chuqin.
If it's used surprisingly and it's well placed, it can be incredibly effective.
Oh yeah, has to have all those mechanics, nothing lukewarm. Lukewarm is not hot enough.
Just to elaborate on that point, because we have a first time out here, Wang Chuqin. By lukewarm, I've always used this phrase, and I think we use it the same way to mean not clear decision, something just in between.
Yeah, just lacking that full throttle intent.
Right. So fist clinched, and a 3-1 lead here in the decider. Wang Chuqin. Wang Chuqin taking a moment here to come up with the plan. No coach on the bench. just hydration time. And this is where we are right now. Nervy moments here. Fans from Los Angeles in the crowd.
Time.
From all over the world, fans come. Wow, Hope, Lionheart, Wang Chuqin. The fans, many of them here will hope that he can pull through. The same differential that Ding Ning had when she had her injury in the final in Game 7. She was down 0-2 for an ankle roll. Back from the timeout. Not an injury timeout. Just the one he has for traditional sake, but right out of it. Fan Zhendong with a big point.
And the first error that Wang Chuqin's made with his forehand there. We've seen the rallies shorten up in this decider so far.
And just to again highlight the level of play out here, you won't hear me use that word error just because with all the pressure that's on them and what they're capable of, it's an incredibly rare occasion. Yeah, these tight serves though. These tight serves, Fan Zhendong has really lasered in on what he needs to do, and he's leading 5-1 once again. This is back to what, game number 3? Where he won 11-2? A good start, but from the baseline, it's countered back. Wang Chuqin handles that scrapey shot just inside the baseline.
Well, we know that Fan Zhendong hasn't called his timeout. Could Wang Chuqin win another point here?
Let 2-5.
You ever wonder the story behind the brand name Double Fish?
I have no idea where it stems from.
Yeah, me neither. Sort of curious.
Ooh.
It is too good. These rallies. Fan Zhendong behind the table. You watch both of these players and think to yourself, how did he not just play defensively? Look at that swat, the wide stance. Fan Zhendong, his feet so far apart, he's not a tall guy.
The way he shields, the way he knows, I haven't got enough time to play a huge shot, but I'll use the pace. It's so clever, and it's amazing that he can do that instinctively.
I feel the exact same way.
Ooh, extra whip there.
Yeah, that little bit of grunt after the long push. He follows up and puts more into it. Quadriaruna style, 110%. A runaway now. The player who's still got the timeout, his lifeline in his pocket is in blue, and the man who's used his right now is in deep water. But it is not over yet. 7 serving 2. Oh, catches the edge, but plays the line. Wang Chuqin, I thought that was going to be the point for Fan Zhendong after this last ball before it. Goes wide to the forehand out of nowhere. Short stroke. Wang Chuqin acknowledges his fortune, but he's got to be ready for the next point, so he's on in his head already. You like that? Raises his hand, but in his head you could see the wheels already turning, planning next point. I like that. 4-point ball game now. 2 big serves to come. Goes for broke, and it pays off. Takes his chances for a guy who knows he's not going to be able to get back.
All cards on the table. A decent push from Fan. What a third ball. The timeout now comes from Fan Zhendong.
Really not an easy ball to play. It was net height, as we saw in the replay, when Wang Chuqin committed fully to that step around. Fan Zhendong with some thinking of his own here. Adrenaline and maybe a little sugar boost. Whatever he needs right now. enjoy some epic rally with the trace of the ball behind it. Get ready for the wide forehand. Man, waiting there. Team China, the Olympic Games. These two will represent in singles. Speaking of China, Beijing, the capital where the entire national team stays and trains, will be massive September 26th in Chongqing Park. Find out more at worldtabletennis.com/China Smash. Wang Chuqin, Miwa Harimoto, Sun Yingxia, Felix Lebrun, four of the big names, but many other stars to absolutely light up the sky in Beijing. Can't wait to see the first ever, cool, double-sided poster there. For the Shu Tiao fans, had a chance to meet some of them outside in the mall earlier. Wang Chuqin now, back from Van Zhendong's timeout, 4-7 in the decider. This was big. Push, you have to imagine, was heavy here. Van Zhendong, let's take another look.
Didn't cut under it as much, but maybe there was some residual backspin from the serve.
Just enough to cause trouble as Wang Chuqin goes for that low drive to the far corner. It's a 4-point game now. Instead of 7-5, Van Zhendong is in a much more encouraging position. Just too good. Decisive. He turns, and as soon as he turns, there's no hesitation. And another analogy for life, when you make a decision, make it and go. Regret nothing. We saw that from Van Zhendong in that forehand. Had he tensed up for a moment, had he had any caution in that shot, Wang Chuqin would have been all over it. Open table, and he walks right in. Van Zhendong now with his toes on the finish line, his fingertips on the trophy. 35 grand, nearly in that clenched fist. He's got 6 championship points to beat the world #1, the most winning man in WTT's era. Exhibition? No way!
It is!
An exhibition point to finish! Van Zhendong, that dominant in the final game that Wang Chuqin throws in the towel. The world #4 doing the unthinkable, and the dancing fans here got their money's worth in a 7-game thriller. 11-2, the most dominant game in this, but in the decisive.